them in place. They keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same? 1% trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and for the millions watching at home, DCK Productions proudly brings to you the greatest podcast in the world! The greatest podcast in the world? Suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. I appreciate it if you both suck it. Suck it!
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
And welcome everybody to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all that is awesome, Derek. How is everybody tonight on a Monday, September 21st of the year 2020? It's about 50 degrees outside here in Northern Virginia, and it is beautiful. Fall is here, at least for us. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I heard it's even hotter in Canada, which is weird, but whatever. That's why I don't live there. But I'm here with y'all, and we're going to have some fun. So, if y'all noticed I'm on an hour earlier this week, that's because I'm like bringing you 2 episodes a day. For some unknown reason. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. Just because I'm awesome like that, I guess. But today, it's going to be a fun one. Because first up, I have an amazing author who's authored many, many, many great books, including a fantastic series. And then on top of that, after that, I have a musician coming on. So it's just going to be a fun-filled Monday and a great way to start the week. So let's get this show going. So my first guest tonight authored the fantasy romance series, the Made Ones, which recently launched with the book Altered, and then has also written such books as The Dead Stone, The Bone Man, and Body Parts, and so many others. Just a wonderful author. And for those of you that are big on fantasy nerddom, this is the interview for you. So please, without any further ado, please welcome to the show, Miss Vicki Stiefel. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Derek?
I am wonderful. It's a Monday.
Good.
You know, most people scoff at Mondays. I welcome them because, you know what? It's sort of a new week for me.
Me too.
So how's everything going for you?
Well, it's good. I actually have a new book out in the Made Ones series. And to my embarrassment, of course, I forgot to get the book. So I'm showing my iPad. I don't know. That's the cover. It's called Changed. It follows Altered. And that's really, can you tell I haven't done this before?
That's okay.
But so I forgot to get a book to hold up. But Altered was first and started the Made Ones series. And now Changed just came out.
How many books were you planning for this series?
Minimum of 3. The first story arc will be done with the next book, which I'm writing now called Awakened. And then more, because I like the world, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about your career here, because you have many, 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 many books to your credit. What made you say, you know what, I'm going to be a writer?
Well, I've always been a reader, but some terrible things happened in the early 90s, really tragic things to my family. So everything's fine though now. Everything's okay. But I started, God knows why, writing a novel called, get ready, Derek, Emma. Clever, huh? Anyway, it's terrible, absolutely awful. But I kept writing. I caught the virus, the bug, whatever. And that's Emma started it. She lives under my bed. She and Thorn and her adventures. But no, I've written quite a few books since then. Quite a few. I don't know.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
More than I was gonna count.
Okay.
Because yeah, I mean, it's a lot, and you're an award-winning author. You've done so many great things. So now, I mean, and especially with what you've done, because I mean, like books like Deadstone and Bone Man aren't on that same wavelength as the books you're writing now.
No, they're
what
mystery.
made you? Yeah, they're mysteries.
Yeah, my writing is pretty organic in the sense that it sort of happens. I don't outline. I get an idea and I picture the climax and I start writing from the beginning. True. So I'm called in novel parlance a pantster as opposed to a plotter. I write by the seat of my pants.
Isn't that the better way to do it, though?
Oh, no. I mean, every writer I know has a different process.
Mm-hmm.
Some are pantsters, some are plotters, and they outline the entire book before they write a word. And some are a combination. But everybody sort of falls in that spectrum. But there are, I think, just as many pantsters as plotters. Tony Hillerman, who wrote mysteries about the Navajo Nation, was a pantster. I mean, his books are brilliant. And he equated it to driving in a fog, and that you have these headlights and you just follow the headlights, which is pretty much what I do.
Gotcha.
So, I think musicians probably fall into the same category in some way.
Oh yeah.
Music writers. I don't know. It's just a really interesting process. What I think really creates this whole thing is I was going to be a musical comedy performer, and I'm not. And although I'm willing to sing, I'm always willing to sing. But anyway, but writing fiction fulfills that place in my spirit or soul, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. I mean, I'm a fantasy guy, but I'm a different type of fantasy guy, obviously. But it does. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're writing it or reading it. It just takes you to a place outside of who you are. And if the writer's good enough, it feels like you're in that book with them.
Right. And yeah. No, I really agree. Yes.
Yes. And sometimes that's to our detriment because, sometimes when you pick up the book, Stephen King pulls you in and it feels like you're on that road with them. But, that's just how it is. And when you can pull that off, you can. And, I read just one chapter of Altered.
Okay.
And, just from that one chapter that I read, just so I can kind of get a feel. I normally don't do too much research on my guests prior to them coming on. And the reason why I do that is because I want to hear everything from you. I don't want to read it on a website. I don't want to read it on Wikipedia. I don't want to read it from Amazon. I don't want to do that. I want to hear everything from you because it's more genuine that way. Okay. But when it comes to an author, I kind of have to do a little bit more research and kind of get, idea of the writing style and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I was sucked in. I already, so I read that one chapter that I just kind of found, and then I immediately downloaded the book because I know I want to read it. And you did that really, really well. You have such a talent. And that's coming from a guy who's not a big romance novel guy. That's not coming from a guy who loves, the superhero fantasy world.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
And
Marvel and DC. And how about Lord of the Rings?
you know what? I wasn't really that big of a Lord of the Rings guy. I was
No?
more of a Harry Potter guy.
Ah, I love Harry Potter too.
Yeah.
I love what I write, I read.
Yeah. But there's just sometimes, just something captures me in the moment. And, just reading that one chapter is kind of, oh, this is interesting. And I was like, okay, I got to read the whole thing now. So, you have done that, and that's why I bring that up, because it was really impactful to me. I was like, ooh, this, like I said, it was just really good. Which makes me want to go back and read your mystery novels too, because I'm a big fan of mystery novels.
Oh,
too.
are you?
Oh yeah. I didn't used to be. And then I was never a big reader. Never a big reader. I was always a movie guy. I was always a movie buff. Okay. But around 2003, there was a book that everyone was talking about that everyone had to read, and go get it, go get it, go get it. So I went and got it, and that book was Da Vinci Code.
Oh, interesting.
And I read the Da Vinci Code, and I was just hooked. And then I just went on this whole mystery suspense, kick for a long time. And, I don't read as much as anymore, but that right there, that book kind of set me off on this spiral of, falling in love with reading again.
Well, that's neat. Some of my books are on audio, others will be eventually, but it's interesting if you find that one book that just sends you to the moon, that thrills you so much, you do want to keep reading. I mean, you want another book and another book, and I'm a big movie gal too, but I love both so passionately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of movie book tie-ins.
Oh, okay.
Now it's very rarely that it's done well. Let me just make sure I say that, because it's very rarely that it's done well. Jurassic Park was done very, very well.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
But with Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, not so much. The books were way better. And then The Notebook and stuff like that was done well. But, that's, everyone's opinion. But when you can find a movie or a book, that you've read and you've been a fan of forever, and then that you see it come to life on the silver screen, it is, it's life-changing. And it can really be an emotional roller coaster for you if it's done well.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So, would you ever license your books to be a movie?
Hell yeah. Sure. Well, I mean, yeah. But the thing to remember, a famous author said this, and unfortunately I can't remember his name, because they bought his books and they made a mess of the movies. And he says, my books are the same. My books haven't changed. These are the movies. They're different. Yeah. And I think that's, a great attitude, because it's a different medium. And by necessity, it has to be compressed into an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Because it takes a lot longer to read a book, Yeah. So, but yes, are you offering, Derek?
I am not a director, but I am an actor. So, just saying,
okay.
If you get a choice in casting, I think I would make a great villain.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind for when the books are produced on film,
because especially with the series that you're doing now, the Made Ones is, I mean, it seems like it's almost made for the big screen, especially with, fantasy being as huge as it is right now. And there hasn't been since, Harry Potter stopped, however long ago that was. What is it? Going on 10 years now?
I think it's, I don't have the dates in my head.
Yeah,
It's
something
a long
like that.
time
It's been a
ago.
while. There hasn't been a big fantasy series to hit the big screen. I mean,
Wow. The Made Ones, of course, is
Yeah.
exactly what we should.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, because I think the last one that tried was the Divergent series, and Divergent didn't do that well in theaters.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I have to confess, I am not a dystopian fan. So I read The Hunger Games, I watched it, Divergent, some of the others, but particularly now when things in reality are not
Exactly.
little shiny unicorns and rainbows, are they? So I go to my books to sort of go to a different place where we can have interesting times and do things. And,
Exactly.
plus the heroines can always do things I can't do.
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. Because you mean, like, whether it be Divergent, Hunger Games did well, but Divergent did not. But that whole dystopian, future
Yeah.
is, especially with the times that we're living in, can be kind of, foreshadowing. Yeah, I mean,
Foreshadowing, yes. Yeah.
and
definitely.
so if you take that out, because I mean, stuff like that could theoretically happen. I guess, I don't know, but I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But with Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, stuff like that, stuff that's out of the realm of possibility. Oh, I mean, so it's depending on what you believe,
Right.
is more exciting and kind of more gripping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it just depends. Everybody has a different cup of tea, which is their favorite, and like we talked about the Marvel universe, but I'm such a big Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, I've seen the movie many times. I've read the books, I don't know, 6, 7 times. I go a little overboard when I like something, and
Yeah.
and the Harry Potter series I've seen and read several times, because it's the word enchanting. I love words, and the deep meaning behind enchanting. Those books and movies enchant me. They take me to a place that I couldn't arrive at on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I love living that.
So, with that being said, how did you arrive at the Made Ones?
Well, I guess since we're on video, you can see I am not 22 anymore. And
I was thinking maybe 40 at the oldest.
I'm not, it doesn't exist. There is no age, right?
It does not, no.
Anyway, you're kind. Anyway, I thought one day, what if I could be young again, but have all my memories, all my knowledge? Because I wouldn't want to be young again just to be young again. I want to be, if I want my brain, and so that sort of started the evolution of the 3 women who were dying, and they have an episode, let's say, 3 sisters, and end up on a planet called Elusia, which is parallel to Earth, which is scientifically possible, actually. I do a lot of research to my books. So, and they're young, and they have all their memories. They're called Made Ones. They're dead on Earth. They learn later, and they're not together. Each sister arrives differently on Elusia, and that causes problems. Mistakes were made, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So but Elusia herself the planet is sort of alive. and things on Alusha are, in one sense, more alive than they are on Earth, in that certain animals are symbionts to humans. They gain from humans and humans gain from them. Certain people can talk to trees now. The trees do not declaim. They sort of show images and murmur, but I feel that our Mother Earth, who is being so hurt and damaged by so much, is alive. I mean, I don't think she's talking to me, but or anything, but she's a living thing that, and so the book, I don't want to preach in my books, but some of my inner feelings about our world of Earth come out in these books about Alusha. So that was a long answer.
No, that's perfectly fine. So, I mean, it sounds to me like, the whole idea behind the book was, whether you're preaching or not, the whole idea of taking care of our Earth while we're here is important.
Yeah. It's very important to me. It really is, and to respect everything on Earth, the animals, the insects, the plants, and the humans, to respect and care for each other. I know that's all la and cute, but I really feel that way. I have a church that I try to attend daily, and it's called the Church of Kindness. To join the church, all you have to do is be kind. And I try if you're kind, it's really hard to commit murder. If you're kind, it's really hard to destroy. So I believe this stuff, but it subconsciously, I never write to theme. I never write, war is bad, and I'm going to write a book about that. I don't do that. I write a story, not to inflate things, but Homer wrote stories. Well, he didn't write, actually. He sang stories about Odysseus and the Trojan War and all. Stories.
Yeah. But when the story is, has an impact on life, and could be, come to fruition in some which way, shape, or form, it's something we got to take seriously, especially when it comes to the way we treat our planet.
I agree. I mean, I do. I agree.
Yeah.
But there's humor too, by the way. It's not all.
You gotta have humor.
And sad.
You gotta have humor. Gotta have a little bit of humor here and there.
Yes, and cute animals.
And cute animals.
They're always cute animals. In Altered, I have a koi wolf. You know what a koi wolf is?
I do not.
A koi wolf is a product of coyote wolf bred together. Oh. They did the dirty, and they had a koi wolf. And that's what a koi wolf is. Anyway, there's a koi wolf and wolves in the first book that have very prominent parts. And then in this book, we have cougars, mountain lions, who are symbionts of the cat clan. And humans don't, it's not a shapeshifter story. Humans don't turn into animals, but they know them and feel them and draw power from them, and vice versa. The animals draw intelligence and strategy and different things from their human symbionts. And we have cougars and a panther and some cougar cubs. I had so much fun writing the cubs.
Okay. So is it a fair analogy, and correct me if I'm wrong, sure, to kind of say that with that connection right there, I'm going to use Avatar as an example, where, they were fictionalized. Nothing was like that was real.
Right.
But they had that same type of connection you were having. But you
Yeah.
use that same type of connection with real animals that we can encounter every day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The animals on Elusia are the same with exceptions. I mean, the planet evolved differently than Earth. But it, in the beginning, Earth and Elusia were the same, parallel planets, and then the planets evolved differently, So there, yeah, lots of, I'm animal crazy too. I am.
And so am I. I'm a big, I have 4 animals in my
Do
home.
you? What do you have? What do you have?
I have 2 cats and 2 dogs.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm a big animal lover.
Yes. I am too.
And it's one of those things that, I just hate seeing, whether it's, dog fighting or neglect or whatever the case might be.
Anything like that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It all goes back to be kind to other creatures, other people, other vegetation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, when you can teach a dog and you say, because this is our oldest dog, her name is Sophie. We say, hey, our oldest daughter is 10. They're both 10. They're the same age. But, Sophie treats Izzy like her own daughter. Like she's a puppy. Yeah. But when we say, all right, Izzy, it's time to go to bed, Sophie perks up and just walks right into Izzy's bed, plops on her bed, and just waits for her. And that wasn't even something we trained her to do. That was just something she learned. She's like, oh,
really?
Izzy's going to bed. I'm going to bed with her.
I'm going to bed with Izzy.
Yeah. And it's, there's something to be said about that kind of stuff. And
there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a connection there that just is unreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can't be ignored.
I agree. I have always had animals. Right now I have 2 rescues, one of which is mine, Penny, who is this tiny little creature. I think she might be an alien, but I'm not sure. But she's very sweet and pretty. And then I have Sebastian, who's actually my son's dog, who I had since COVID. Beshy. I don't know if he'll come now. You know how they are. But I wanted him to perform. But he's a clown, a mischief maker. And he's so much fun. He's hilarious.
I have a cat who's a mischief maker.
Really?
His name is Miles.
Uh-huh.
And he is a nocturnal freak. He sleeps all day long, and you can't find him because he's hiding off in a corner. Maybe he's hiding in the cat tree or something like that, but he just sleeps all day long. And then he's up all night, long. And my wife likes to call it, he plays the zoomies. And he just literally runs across the house. Yeah. But he'll run on top of us, jump on top of us, and then scurry out. And it's like, what the hell just happened? And, he just does this all night long.
Yes.
And I can't sleep because I'm one of those sensitive sleepers, but I have to wait for him to calm down before I can sleep. But he just all night long.
I understand. I call that getting a wild on. I like zoomies too. Yeah. I've seen it many times, and it's hilarious.
It is.
It's fun, and they so enhance our lives.
It does.
Really do.
And I'm glad that you wrote a book to highlight that. And because that's important. Us taking care of our earth, regardless of what you believe or not. There's things happening to this world, and only we can change that.
I agree. It's in our hands.
It is.
It's in our hands. That looks really lame, but I had to do it.
It's okay. We can be an Allstate commercial. But you're right. It is in our hands.
It's in our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether we're telling that story with fiction or nonfiction or, whatever the case might be, it's a lesson that people need to hear.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of people watch reality TV now and read nonfiction, and I've written nonfiction also, but what I like about the fictional world is that I'm not there. I mean, it's a world in my imagination that I can either bring to life with my own writing or read about with someone else's writing. I like that magic to take me away from COVID land.
Yeah.
No.
What are some of the writers that have inspired you to be who you are today?
Well, I'm an avid reader. I read all the time. I'm one of those people that can't be without a book that she's reading or she gets nervous. So certainly people like T.H. Whyte, who wrote The Once and Future King about Camelot, the Odyssey, myths. I was crazy. I still am crazy about mythology. Anne Frank. I know that's totally a left turn, but Anne Frank just moved me, as she did so many, very deeply. I loved growing up. I read tons of science fiction and fantasy. Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Piers Anthony, and of course Tolkien. I mean, I just I reread them recently, the books, to see if they held up. Because writing changes and people's tastes change, and I found them just as thrilling as the first time I read them. I mean, I had Shakespeare, Dickens influenced me enormously. So I wish I could come out with some very clever, obscure writer, but really it's just, I think, the avalanche of doors that were opened by those writers for me.
Yeah. Especially looking at Tolkien. Because that series, the Hobbit series, Lord of the Rings series, is coming up on 100 years soon. And that is crazy because only in the early 2000s did it really kind of get its
there's an interesting story in the sense that Tolkien wrote The Hobbit for his kids.
Yes.
It was a kid's book. And then Lord of the Rings evolved, and I would have to check, but I think Lord of the Rings wasn't published until the late 40s, early 50s.
Correct.
And
yeah.
It just started growing. No one thought they could ever make a real movie. There was a cartoon by, I want to say, a cartoonist named Ralph Bakshi. I'm not sure of his last name. And I think he did one or maybe two of them, but he never finished the trilogy. Tolkien wrote them as one book. Yeah. Tolkien didn't write a trilogy. He wrote one book, The Lord of the Rings, and then his publisher said, you got to break this up. So yeah.
But it's, because and I remember that story too. I've heard the parts of that story because, around the 40s and 50s when it finally came out, it kind of, on a parallel, level, that's when comic books and other types of fantasy started to really take off as well with, my favorite author of all time, Stan Lee.
Stan. Yeah. What a guy, huh?
When he passed away, it's been a year and a half now, almost 2 years. I bawled because I looked up to that man in so many ways. Yeah. He was one of those people that evolved with the times, and he always tried to show the evolution of man inside of his comic books, whether it was with the Black Panther, whether it was with Miss Marvel, whether it was with She-Hulk, or whatever the case might be. You know, as these things were happening in real life, you know, the civil rights movement and the women's rights movements and all this other stuff, he was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and write about this as well. And it was powerful. And last year when Endgame came out, that was 30 years of my life on screen. And to know that he had passed on and wasn't able to see his life work come to fruition to that moment absolutely killed me. Yeah. Because that's the type of work, whether it's Tolkien, whether it's Dan Brown, whether it's you, whether it's, you know, Stephen King or whatever. When those types of novels have that much of an impact on society, and to see it come to fruition in such a big way, it's impactful. It's powerful.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Marvel, you know, universe, you know, Stan Lee did that for me. And it's done that for a lot of people as well. And, you know, just like Tolkien and just like Dan Brown or just like Stephen King. And it's one of those things. I'm just tearing up just talking about it. Because, you know, sometimes with whether it's a movie or a book, sometimes, you know, we find things in mysterious ways. You know, when I was 8 years old, I moved from Ohio to Florida, and I was in an unknown place. I was in an unknown world. I was constantly being picked on, constantly being beaten up. I was always the nerd. But I didn't understand what being a nerd really was. And then I found Spider-Man, and my whole world changed.
Peter Parker. Yeah.
My whole world changed, and
yeah,
it let me know that it's okay to be the nerd.
And that you weren't alone.
Exactly.
That you were not a one-off. There were others who felt the way you felt. And here was a kid who was as nerdy as they come, Peter Parker. And he's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Just magic.
And that's what literature does. It makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you, you know, it's always, like I said, it's amazing. You can always find a movie or a book right at the time you're going through something tough or something happy that you really relate to. And then you just kind of hold on to that forever. Yeah. And, you know, it's one of those things. And I know that your books are probably going to do the exact same thing. Because, again, it's relatable. Fantasy or not, it's relatable. And that's powerful.
Well, thank you, Derek. I have a very sad story to tell you.
Please, bring it on.
When I was in high school, I became a comic book fan. I mean, obviously I read books, but I read comic books as well. And I bought the first copy of the X-Men and the first copy of the Silver Surfer. 2 titles I suspect you know well.
Very well.
Yeah, I sold them. I should never have sold them.
No,
I did. And they were pristine. You know. What was I thinking?
The first Silver Surfer. What would that go for? A grade 10 would. Grade 9 or 10 would probably go for a good $100,000 these days.
Yeah, $100. They sold them for $100 back in 1980.
Yeah, whoever has that now, if they kept it pristine,
they're happier. I'm not, but when I was teaching high school, I'm a teacher too, and I've taught high school and college. And when I was teaching high school, one of the classes I taught was called Supernatural in Literature. And we read books like Dracula and things like that. But the kids had to write a short story. Okay. It was like I don't know if it was their final assignment. But anyway, so I had a lot of jocks in my class because they thought it was going to be a gut class, which it wasn't. But I had a good time with them, and they were good guys. But the team quarterback hands me his paper. Great, as along with everyone else. And I sit down, and later when I get a minute, I start to read it. Well, funny thing, there's this silver guy in it, and he rides a surfboard in this new short story throughout the universe. And it was the whole story of the Silver Surfer that he had plagiarized. And I had read it. Who would think, that I had read, but I had. So we had a discussion about that, about how it is to steal another person's intellectual property and claim it's their own. He was chagrined.
I can imagine.
He was very embarrassed.
In today's day and age, with technology the way it is, and whether it's a comic book, whether it's a graphic novel, or whether it's a fantasy novel, or a thriller, suspense, autobiography, whatever, books are now more accessible than ever.
Wonderful.
But are being read less, in my opinion. What is your take on that?
That's a good question. I don't know. 3 years when I was teaching college, I left Clark 3 years ago. Okay, so the kids in my classes were avid readers, but I don't know. I've come across a lot of young people, and I have to give J.K. Rowling credit for that, because an entire generation began reading because of Harry Potter. And I would say 80% of my students, when I asked, what's one of your favorite books? Inevitably, Harry Potter came up. So I think people are reading in different ways with ebooks, though I have some friends who only want a paperback, with audiobooks, because they prefer listening. I have another friend, and she's so brilliant and clever, and her preference is audiobooks, but she listens to books. So I'm not going to be doom and gloom. I think books will endure as long as humans have breath, because they show new worlds.
Yeah, I agree.
TV, there's great stuff. I love watching TV, and I can't wait to go to the movies again.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
But I miss that experience. But, I've never not read. And there are a lot of people out there like me who read every day.
Oh, yeah, there still is. But I see, kids rather be on Fortnite or Minecraft or, other games, that are now mobile everywhere they go.
The world always evolves. I love technology, and I have to get a plug-in. I'm not on the payroll. I love my Apple devices, my iPad and my phone and my Mac, and the world changes, and for good or for ill. We talk about how terrible things are now, but I can remember reading an article in Smithsonian about children in the Middle Ages, and I can't remember the name of what they called them, but there were these huge packs of children. Why? Because parents would be walking along the road and leave them. They would just leave the children, their children, when they couldn't afford to feed them and clothe them. Yeah. So, that's no longer acceptable. No. Back then it was common. So things aren't all bad to me. Good stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Happens.
Yeah.
And so I like video games too, which is why I don't play them, because I get so sucked in. I don't want to do anything else.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yep.
Dad. I have a dad.
Yeah.
You're too young. Did you ever hear of Zork? No, right? Well, it's a video game. meaning it was on my Apple IIe, which did not have a graphic interface. So you heard sounds like feet clopping or swords swishing, and then you'd get text on the. I loved it. It was so much fun, you know.
Yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've heard of it. I just can't place it. But
it's beyond an antique.
I mean, I had an Atari. That was my first game system.
Oh yeah.
And then then the original Nintendo, and then I was just hooked ever since.
What about Donkey Kong?
Even the original Mario. I mean,
oh yeah.
God, I was hooked. What's funny is I remember. I think it was right after we moved to Florida, so I think I was maybe 9, a year after that Christmas or something somewhere around there. We got that Nintendo for Christmas, and I remember me and my brother were sharing a room at the time. Our Nintendo and our TV was in our room. And we would wake up in the middle of the night, and my mom and dad would be sitting there playing Mario.
I can believe it.
Yeah,
I can. I loved Pac-Man. I loved Pac-Man.
Yeah.
But I found I get so, you must be familiar with the word ensorcelled.
Of course.
So I get so ensorcelled.
Yeah.
That I'm gone. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
But, I had to stop that. I can't play games like that anymore.
I can understand that. And, the times that we live in are rough, but at the same time, I don't think it's ever been a better time to be alive.
Oh, I agree.
Because we're seeing so much change. We're seeing the start of a lot of change as well.
Yeah.
And the things that are going to come out at the end here are going to be remarkable, and it's going to be amazing. So this is the storm right now. We had the calm, and now we're having the storm, and on the other end of that storm is going to be
rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, I think we're going to open up our door, just like Dorothy did, and see the yellow brick road and that beautiful green castle, and and kind of be like, oh, I guess it was worth it.
Yes.
So I mean, regardless of whether or not, however you believe, I mean, fantasy is necessary because it gives us a sense of hope. It really does. Right. Regardless of how out there it is, how far away from reality, quote unquote, it is, at the end of the day, unless you have somebody who just loves playing jokes on the reader, at the end of the day, you're going to open that book and you're going to go from cover to cover and you're going to end up with a happy ending most of the time. And it's going to give you that light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be like, okay, if this person can survive that, real or fake, we can make it through this.
Yes, I agree. And, since the beginning of time, men and I don't know anymore, have written fantasy. Fantasy has existed, fantasy literature, for I think as long just about as human beings have existed, because we have imaginations and we imagine what could be, we see and we picture a flying horse. I have flying horses. There are flying horses in my book, but it's scientifically possible the way I've constructed the horses. Somebody asked when I was writing, somebody asked, well, horses they can't really fly. Their bones are too heavy, and they're too dense and they can't. So I made my horses are physics-wise able to fly without any problem, but they're not the main focus of the book at all. I would have to say the adventure of it, the coming to know yourself is, well, I don't know. Oh, there's romance. I know you said you're not but there absolutely romance is in there. Look at Homer, Odysseus, and Penelope. One of the great romances of all time. Shakespeare, how many of his plays have romance in them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even Adia, it did not end well, but it was about her romance with Jason. Romance, we all need a little love.
We do. We really, really do. And you know, I mean, I'm not a fan of reading about it, but I love, you know, I love the idea of, you know, romance. It's just so much, and you know, it's fun. It really is.
Fun. Who would you match up with? Let's see. Oh, I'm trying to think of a Marvel character that's not. Well, Black Panther. He has sort of a girlfriend, but what do you think? Who would work for him?
You know, that's a tough question. I mean, his love, you know, has always been one person. So I mean, it's hard for me to think of Black Panther right now because of Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, I know. I know.
God, that
just popped into my head, and that's so sad.
He is an icon. I mean, and you know, he's done. You know, he played Jackie Robinson. You know, he played Thurgood Marshall. You know, he's played all these iconic, you know, black figures. Really? And then he pulls off one of the greatest, you know, things in his acting career, playing, you know, a fantasy character. But that fantasy character gave millions and millions and millions of black kids everywhere, letting them know that they can be a king.
It did.
Yeah.
Wakanda forever.
Exactly.
You know? Really.
I did like a 2-day special on Chadwick, and
did you?
Oh my God, I love that guy. I mean,
did too.
When I first heard his casting, I knew he was going to nail it.
He was just, I don't know, such a bright flame, and I don't know. Talk about a superhero. I don't know how he did what he did. I don't know how he lived with cancer and made
4 years.
Made those movies. Movie making is not a skip in the park. It's hard work, especially a superhero movie, you know?
Yeah.
I so admire. I mean, you talk about somebody to look up to, somebody to admire. He would be on top of my list, really.
Yeah. To make four. Yeah, to make four superhero movies while having prostate cancer. That's insane.
I know.
Just an overall good guy.
Yeah.
Gone
and
too
let's
soon.
not forget, I do have to bring her up, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because she was another, along with Chadwick, she lived an exemplary life. She was such an icon to me.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, I talked about this on Friday with my guest because it kind of happened right as I was on the air. You know, regardless of your political viewpoints, you know, she was an exemplary human. You know, if you agreed with her politics or not, she was an exemplary human. You know, if it wasn't for her, women would not be able to own a house. Women would not be able to buy a car. There's a lot of, you know, equal pay wouldn't be a thing, you know, even just be discussed. It was all because of her. And a lot of people forget that.
She never gave up or gave in. She was, you know, and I try and put that essence, the Chadwick essence, the Ruth essence into my books. I don't know if I succeed, but I want my characters to be human. I mean, they're flawed, but to be exemplary human. I want them to ultimately make correct choices about things that really matter.
Yeah.
You know? And I want the thing I want more than anything is for my readers to feel. I want them to feel emotions as they read, you know. That's my biggest goal, really. You know. I don't know. I love the craft. I love the art of writing, and part of it is an art, but I love the craft. I love words. You know, I think you've met a friend of mine named Scott Page.
I have.
Yes, dear Scott, who is the most wonderful man. He's written songs and he really understands a love of words as well as music. He doesn't play a bad saxophone either, does he?
No, he does not.
He's amazing. Yes.
He's a great guy.
And I have to plug his wife is too. And she's just such a dear friend. And she and Scott together, it's very, very wonderful.
Yeah. I had a great conversation with Scott.
Did you?
Oh my God.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I'm coming up on next Thursday, episode 100 of the show.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, right?
That's so cool.
And I have talked to so many people, and I have just learned, so many things and had so many great conversations. And I am just absolutely blessed to have some of the, the connections and the people that I've talked to throughout the months, and like I said, to be coming up on episode 100 next Thursday, I'm just stoked, just absolutely stoked.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you what, you said you try to put that exemplary, exceptional person into your books, and I believe are an exceptional person, and I believe that comes through on your books.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I can't wait to read the book, and I can't wait to tell you how I think about it too.
I'd like to hear.
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear your thoughts because, every day I write, I want to be better than the previous day.
Yeah.
That's
all we can pray for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This was
fantastic.
You.
Oh,
Thank
Vicki.
you.
It's my pleasure.
Having me on your show. And I'm thrilled. I got to meet you and we talked. And the only thing I missed was seeing your puppies and kids.
I have them locked away. I don't let them in my studio.
You could get the kitty in your studio and film her.
He bites cords. I don't let that
dear,
mongrel in my.
Good, but he's really funny.
But yeah, Vicki, let me just tell you, you are an exceptional person, and I'm so thankful that we got to talk tonight.
Fine, Derek. Anytime, really.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
You too now.
Oh, yeah.
Evening?
I'm here in the evening. I'm in the day still.
Well, either way, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will talk again soon, okay?
I'd love that.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye now. All right. Well, that was a fun conversation. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the musician known as Mint. Guys, ever wonder how I get this manly beard looking so good? It's all because of Viking Revolution. And at Viking Revolution, not only can you get some great beard balms, but you can also get some great beard oils, as well as some awesome quick shower pads, which helps prevent you stanking up after the gym. Also, these great wet wipes, which help prevent, stanky after going doo-doo. And also some pomades and some other great products, all at Viking Revolution. So do yourself a favor, go to dckproductions.com/sponsors, click on the banner, and get yourself some of these great products. Viking Revolution. Join the revolution. And tonight's show is also brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an app that you can use anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that allows you to basically reach out to a counselor and just be able to talk about whatever you got going on. Whether it's through text message, whether it's through web chat, or whatever the case might be, BetterHelp allows you to bypass the waiting rooms and bypass the insurance websites to find a counselor only to wait 2 or 3 weeks and then get to that office and then find out they're not for you. BetterHelp takes all of that out. It allows you to text message your therapist 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they'll respond. But then on top of that, you'll have weekly visits. They give you little worksheets and things like that to constantly be working on who you are. BetterHelp is an amazing app, and I definitely suggest that you try them out. So if you go to BetterHelp.com/SIPod. That's SIPod. You get 10% off your first month. Again, that's BetterHelp.com/SIPod for 10% off your first month. Trust me, you won't regret it. BetterHelp. All right. So, are we ready? Because now we went from a fantasy author to a badass musician. You know, this guy is just straight up badass. He's a multifaceted producer and songwriter based in Brooklyn. Has a new collaboration song coming out called 90 Degrees. Actually just came out today. So, you know, that's pretty freaking awesome, and I'm glad to have him on my show today, the day of this release of 90 Degrees. So, without any further ado, please welcome Mint. What's up, dude?
Hey, dude.
How you doing?
I'm exhausted. How are you doing?
You're exhausted? What the hell's up with that? It's only 8 o'clock at night, old man.
Dog, I am getting old. Speaking of release day, the music video also dropped, and that was being colored by my roommate and I till 5 in the morning. So I'm on no sleep, and we had a whole day of epic emotions, and now it's just about over.
Am I the last one?
No, this is actually my first major interview ever of this kind, on a podcast especially. And after this, everyone from the crew in the video and the song is coming over to celebrate a little bit. So
hey,
I'll be in bed before midnight, but that is probably unlikely.
Well, let me just tell you how honored I am then to have you be the first, you know, this be your first major one. And we're going to play the song too, by the way. Play the video as well.
Sick. Yeah, definitely the video. That's
yeah. Yeah, because, you know, the people that don't watch it live or watch it on YouTube, you know, and they listen to the podcast tomorrow are going to be like, oh, I got to listen to, you know, they're going to go back and watch it. So there we go. Double promotion. But, so, you know, what's been going on, man? I mean, you know, what I find fascinating about, you know, COVID is the fact that even though musicians like yourself and a lot of other guys that I've talked to aren't out there, you know, touring like they should be, right, but they've been pumping out some fucking badass tunes.
Right.
So, I mean, what's been the idea behind your inspiration and keeping it live that way?
It's loaded, dude. So I have to start with a little bit of a background first, if I may.
Go right ahead.
My whole musical experience isn't just centered around music performance per se, but music production, engineering, you know, that could be client work, film composition, sound design, blah, blah, blah. Not always super creative, but like still pays the bills, you know what I'm saying? But then there's another aspect of my life, which is event production. So like, you know, events and concerts around town too. I used to do front of house stuff, soundboard stuff, stage tech, kind of like eating all the shit throughout the musical spectrum. And now I have a studio where I do all of the work that you're kind of seeing get pumped out now. But COVID specifically made me pivot back into my music because I was so busy hustling with everything else going on just to, you know, stay alive in New York City as it was. I wasn't really focusing on my music as much as I should have. And that's kind of what New York can do to people if you don't really like find that like solid group of people that motivate you and keep you going. And I didn't lose it. I focused on other aspects of my existence here. And then COVID kind of just made me look inward, you know, for what it's worth. And then kind of just had to refocus on the actual music writing that I've been doing since I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like it. But it has, there's more to it than that. It's kind of just like, it was a forced change, and I think I'm grateful for the experience that I think I share this with a lot of creatives, that we were given a forced pause and really had to restructure like why we're doing this shit.
Absolutely. I mean, but on top of that, I think it's also given us an opportunity to reset ourselves too.
100%.
You know,
I think
and
that is
reinvent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, because I know I've reinvented myself because of this whole thing.
Did you do this before?
Say again?
Did you do these podcasts before this?
So I started the show back in February.
Oh, sick. Okay.
And then in May, it really started to take off. And then I really hit my stride in June. And then July, it just exploded. And that's just, credit to my, my PR teams that I work with and stuff like that. And it's allowed me, to get away from actually working a 9 to 5.
Right.
To where now this is all I do.
Wow, dude.
And, to go from 7,000 listens a day in June to now approaching 30,000 listens a day, almost 600,000 people a month, is insane.
Yeah, that's like lifetime shortened, and you really got to dial your shit because the pressure's on,
It really is. And, especially that I'm doing this 5 days a week, 5 days a week, but I do 2 shows on Mondays. I do a noon show and then I do the regular show. And then this week I got double booked all week long. So I'm doing 1 at 7 and 1 at 8. So it's like, it's just getting crazier and crazier. And I'm coming up on episode 100 next Thursday.
Dude, congrats, man.
It's insane.
That's a hell of a milestone.
I mean, it's shocked the hell out of me. I can tell you that much, but it's done that a lot for a lot of different people in this whole thing, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
It did shut down the economy and it did kind of shut down the entertainment business. But I think, again, it's given us an opportunity to reset and reinvent, which obviously you've gone through as well.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be a slow roll, but, the restructuring is happening now before, our eyes, we just can't see it. Like everyone's scrambling and, being in New York City, where are you located?
I'm in Northern Virginia, right outside DC.
Cool. Yeah. So like DMV area too, like same shit. Like those areas have so many venues and everyone's just trying to figure out what to do next. And that protocol is such a massive headache that everyone that was either music manager or just like tour manager in any sense, photographers, to every single person that's involved in the tour, roadies, all that stuff. You've heard all the horror stories about people getting, just in deep shit while this goes on because there's no city relief and no government relief. Same with restaurants and bars, like everyone has in some way had to get creative to really stay, 1, sane, first and foremost, and then 2, fed and sheltered. And you have to be, it's just like, it's such a trip, man, talking about it because we've been doing it for so long. And then you're like at what, month 8, 6, 7 of the pandemic that, a lot of us didn't think was going to last past summer. I think I think everyone was banking on shows in August.
Yeah. I had concert tickets for May that got moved to October and it got canceled. Yeah. I was supposed to go see Five Finger Death Punch with Papa Roach and Gun.
Dude, man, I had shows booked, like concerts that I put on for May, June, and August, and in April it was just like plug pulled immediately.
Yeah, and last year, I saw, 10 concerts I went to. Mm-hmm. I went to everything from Slipknot to Falling in Reverse to Nothing More, and all these bands I saw last year to nothing this year. Yeah. And that sucks for being, someone who's a former musician who lives his life on music. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I used to be a touring guitarist and singer.
Cool. Yeah. Because I see how many features you do of musicians. And I think that's really beautiful because those stories are so important. That's like the ear to the streets kind of situation, Yeah. That's like talking to the bus driver. No one asks him questions, but he's got all the stories.
Exactly. I mean, I love talking to musicians. Yeah. I think I've talked to more musicians than anybody else on this show. Right. The lady I had on right before you, Vicki, I think she's only the second author I've had on the show.
She was so sweet. I just caught the end of it.
Oh my God, she was amazing.
It's really good you give them that platform, dude. It's making people feel really special, I'm sure. Right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I and not to like, freaking, toot my own horn or, but, I think I've done a pretty good job of that this summer, especially with musicians, because there's a bunch of local talent here in the DMV area that are like that can't do anything. And I did a concert series on the show to where I brought on like 25 bands, I think it was, to where I gave them an hour-long set on the show and just let them play. It was awesome. I mean, they were so elated. Some of them were just down in their basement or in a barn or, but, they went full out. They pulled out the lights. They pulled out the fog machines. They did it all because they wanted to feel like they were up on stage again. And I gave them that opportunity, and it was it was sick.
Awesome. That's the one thing that, sadly, musicians that don't have like musical playing capabilities or just DJs are doing on live streams. And like, there's like, everyone was trying to get me to do live streams, and I have a ton of respect for everyone doing live streams. People have to get music going through their veins in some way. Especially a lot of people I know are like, more DJ oriented, like playlist curators or just, beat makers and engineers. They don't necessarily play a bunch of instruments, but their musical knowledge is insane, and their way of expressing that is through DJing, from turntables to Ableton to CDJs and so many different kinds. And like a lot of New York City breathes and runs off that kind of work.
Yep.
And their way to step back into that feeling and that expression was live streams. But I don't really get the same feeling if there's not the audience and not like a bunch of instruments, because I used to sample and play stuff with my computer, but like MIDI instruments and D-pads and stuff. And I used to be in like bands, jazz, metal, hip hop, punk back when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And I just don't get the same. And I don't really necessarily like just the camera and like empty space and just like nothing. So I just made shit that I hadn't made and finished stuff that I didn't have finished for months, years instead. And I'm grateful I did, because I met some really good friends through it that we were fringe friends, and then because of this, like met, and within hours it was just like hit after hit after hit, because we were all feeling so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we didn't want the same outlet, we don't have a big place to like set up a whole live band rig with lights and shit, we just can't do that here. So we had to figure out what to do, and luckily we just kept it, safe enough and open enough to just like get some work done. And now you're seeing like the beginning of the rollout, if you will.
Yeah. It's interesting because again, it's one of those things that, can go either way. I mean, I dig the live concert feel, obviously, being able to be, close to the stage and getting the sweat, from the guy, the lead singer or whatever, being able to catch a pick or, if they decided to do a stage dive and catching them, whatever the case might be, and then having the ringing ears on the way out, I fucking love that.
Yeah,
but you can't. Yeah. But I think right now, any way that we can absorb music, let's fucking do it.
That's what I'm saying too. And everyone's got their version of doing that. Like I'd start doing them at the beginning. I started doing the live streams at the beginning with some buddies that are just really epic projectionists and and DJs and graphic guys. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I don't want to be on camera. I just want your visuals to crow across the screen. And they were like, hell yeah, let's do it. So the first ones we did were just epic visualizers, and just like I ripped a bunch of shit from Netflix, like all the Planet Earth series, which is like my shit, and just had like looping Planet Earth videos while I just had like, 5-hour long sets. Like nothing too crazy, just like midday or at night. And that was really cathartic. But then I was like, damn, I really want to just be making stuff again, because I was so used to like client work to get by that I wasn't making as much in my off time. I would go to the park or like, just be outside with my dog or the homies in my off time, instead of just like go back inside and work on my shit, because I was always working on other people's shit, So everyone has a different experience. Mine's different than a lot of different people here, because they're just either DJs or session musicians or whatever. And I'm grateful that I was able to be quarantined in a recording studio. You know what I mean? And I just kind of just got to know my space and just like really appreciated every day and just tried to tinker and just like get back to where I was.
But then, on top of that, it costs money to live stream something good,
And it's time consuming, dude. It's like that shit's set up like multicams and learning OBS and learning how to operate like Instagram streams, and you get kicked off and there's copyright and there. Dude, it's a mess.
It is. Even just for me being a talk show, and I'm on YouTube, if I, promote an artist, I get a copyright strike every time, and I have to fight it and be like, no, it's for promotional purposes only, and then I get it removed, and it's no big deal. Yeah. But it's like, it sucks, but like, like I said, it just costs a lot of money. I mean, I know bands that are putting on full, huge sets. Like one of my favorite bands, Trivium, did it not too long ago. But they got money from Roadrunner, and they rented out a full, huge studio soundstage at Full Sail in Orlando, and they put on a full concert.
Almost went there.
Huh?
Almost went to that school.
Yeah, that's a good school.
Couldn't afford it, and I couldn't afford it, and I couldn't do Orlando.
I moved from Orlando to the DMV 4 years ago, and I do not regret it, man.
No shit.
I could not get out of there fast enough.
Oh, I grew up half my life in Canada, and then the rest of it in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it was the same shit. Couldn't do it. It was like 11:59 on my 18th birthday the night before, and I was just like, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I moved to Florida from Ohio, and which I thought was cool at the time, and I'm like, and then by the time I was 10, I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. And I tried 2 or 3 times unsuccessfully, and then this last time was successful. I was like, you know what, I'm never going back. So,
yeah, dude, I mean, respect. It's hard to do. Getting comfortable is really easy, and it's hard to debug,
Yeah. But, going back to what we were talking about, though, but, they have that money to where they had the backing behind it. And and now Corey Taylor is doing the exact same thing. He fucking rented out the entire Forum and is doing a huge live show at the Forum. It's like, what the hell? But that dude's got money for days.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the greatest musicians of our generation.
Yeah, dude.
So he's got...
You're employing everyone again. You get to put your whole team back on. Like that must be so rewarding. I can't imagine how good that feels,
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised and disappointed that more musicians didn't do that. There was some shit, I don't know if you saw this shit, not to name names, but there was a lot of electronic musicians and, just like super fabulous Euro DJs who did this like big, like charity GoFundMe in a sense. And it was pretty much just like, do this live stream and donate to us so we can donate and pay and give livelihoods back to all of our artists. And these DJs are like grossing like $70 million a year. And the whole internet just tore them apart. Like, why are you not paying for this and supplementing their income or figuring something out? And they were literally requesting money from their broke fans during the pandemic. And the whole campaign was scrubbed in, I think, 2 hours. Jesus. It went from like the most promoted thing I'd seen since like live streaming became the new norm, and everyone was trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And this PR team just really fucking blew it. And everyone, like, unanimous was like, this is so insanely insensitive. And it was done. Like, done. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And they're not putting people to work. They're just streaming from their fucking multi-million-dollar studio.
Yeah.
And they don't even play music anyways anymore. They got ghost producers. They got everything up the ass. And they're asking their fans for money.
Don't get me started on electric music.
I came from that world. I toured all over the place and did festivals when I was just a grom in college. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Trying to figure out Ableton, thought it was super cool. I was into all sorts of like various electronic music, especially rooted in like UK grime, dubstep, like old halftime 140 stuff, like more jazzy, soulful garage shit. And then like more industrial and IDM and ambient. But then in my growing in that and in my 20s, it went from electronic music being like a safe group category to EDM. And as soon as that happened, all things changed. And it was like 2 or 3 years of hating what the scene was becoming on just a personal level. And not to say that it's, not a beautiful community for so many people, and it does so many things to inspire and change lives and everything it does. But on the inside, it can get a little dicey, and it wasn't about as the same things that I was about anymore. And then I moved to New York from Denver, where I was doing all this stuff, and just went back to school for music, put myself through school for engineering to be taken more seriously, as a producer and engineer, because it's fucking New York. Get my foot in the door in studios. So yeah, same. Don't get me started on electronic music.
I mean,
it was the basis of my growth, and my friendships are forged there, and it's an incredibly beautiful community at the best parts of it. But it, just like every dark corner of the internet or scene or genre of music, there's shit that goes wrong, and if it gets heightened by money and greed, it destroys itself from the inside.
I firmly agree with you on that, and I'd like to go a little bit deeper, with especially with electronic music, because anyone that knows how to work a computer and is good with Pro Tools can make a decent sounding electronic song.
Instead of having video games, kids have production software.
Yeah,
and they master it before they're fucking old enough to drive.
Exactly. So, with that being said, it's like, what happened, and in other countries, it's not as bad as it is here. But, whatever happened to learning how to play the guitar, learning how to play the piano, learning how to play a bass guitar, learning how to actually play the drums. And if you want to do electronic music and you can, play all that kind of stuff and mix your own beats with real beats, and I'm cool with that. But to not have any real musical background at all, just being that electronic guy with the computer, that's where I have a problem with it. But like, I know you actually play a shit ton of instruments, so anything that you came out with, I would have had mad respect for, whether it's electronic or this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm not a master at all. I mean, everyone I know is a better musician than me. It's more about the organization, the structure of building songs. But my first instrument was a guitar, second was piano, tried trumpet, played saxophone, can hold my own on the drums. And then over the course of my career, I just got better at the basics of all of them while collaborating electronically with my computer and my MIDI controller and my beat pads. So it wasn't just one or the other. It was like a blend of them all. And so that's why I say I'm not a master of all of them. You won't be able to tell that I don't know what I'm doing, but I kind of don't know what I'm doing with most instruments. If you were to get me to jam with someone, like if you say you put me in like a jazz jam and you give me a piano and you tell me the key, I'll be fine to like scale it out and play shit, whatever. But if you ask me to start, I'd lose my mind and I wouldn't be able to where to go. I wouldn't be able to go certain scales. I don't have theory like that. It's kind of just like, my parents were musicians and I had it in the womb and I kind of just know what sounded good and if it sounded off or not. And that kind of just formed my musical sense, because I think anyone, even if you're electronic, can be an incredible musician. But you just have to try to tinker, because the practice is so like, the practice is so personal, and you don't get that from touching a computer screen and looking at an LCD screen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't do that. If you have your LCD screen computer plugged into a MIDI keyboard and you're practicing like on some sounds and you got a synth and you're like trying to get better, that's different.
Exactly.
If you're just drawing in drums and synths and sound effects, and now you have companies like Splice and Loop Masters and Pure Sounds and all these other ones, giving you samples where you don't even have to try. Like you can literally get full on ideas, like full on like banging, like catchy ideas in one waveform. You just drop it in with literally 4 more loops. You got a full song, no copyrights, put on the internet. You could be a star. And then back in the day before COVID, if that got enough views, they fast tracked you to a live show. And these kids wouldn't know how to DJ at all because they never learned how to beat match, or they never learned how to create rhythm between different genres or read a crowd or whatever, bless their hearts. Then you get put on stage with these people just because of data and sheer numbers alone when they're kids. And then you have like the worst energy at shows ever.
Exactly.
You know, because you can't compute what it means to like feel like that moment, like when you hear a breakdown in your favorite fucking band. Like,
Oh my God.
Dude, and like the work that it took to get the homies in the studio to like find that pocket and then be so hyped enough to record it and then share it with people. You don't get that from just like, you know what I mean? And sometimes you can. Like there's some kids out there like that do get it and they're savants, but they don't really play shows. They're fucking introverts. They don't care about anything else. They just make this shit. Yeah. And, you know, mad respect to them. But at the same time, kids need to just play instruments as much as they can. And if anyone's a parent, show your kid how to play an instrument. And if he hates it, cool. But give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I started in elementary school playing the clarinet. So I had some idea of music theory. But I played clarinet in my Catholic school band. If that tells you anything. And then once I convinced my parents,
school, my guy.
Huh?
I got kicked out of the Catholic school.
Yeah, I almost did too. I was the kid that was picked on and beat up every day because my parents didn't have money and I was there on a grant. So all the rich kids beat the shit out of me every day. And the nuns didn't do anything.
I would have been your friend, dude.
It sounds like it. And then finally, I convinced my parents one day when I was in 6th grade to let me go to a public school. And for 5 years, I never laid a hand on these kids. I just let them beat my ass every day for 5 years. And then, you know what? I went to school one day and said, I'm standing up for myself. And 5 years of torment by 3 or 4 kids every day, 5 kids every day, excuse me. And I beat the shit out of all of them in one sitting. I'm the one that gets 10 days of school in suspension. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Bro, I love you because, like, that kind of almost similarly happened. I got, oh my God. This kid got kicked out of school, and he was the bully to all these kids, and me and my friends just, like, had this little, like thing going on. And this one dude would keep on like messing with everyone. So we singled him out one day and called him out for his shit. He joined a gang 2 months later after getting kicked out of school. He got kicked out of school for his own shit because he was just a bad dude. He chose me to fight this gang initiation where you have to pick a random person and win. It's like a Phoenix street gang thing. And he chose me, and I was like this scrawny guy that played sports, but I also was into Taekwondo in like a nerdy way, and like punk bands. And so I like knew how to thrash dance and like dumb shit like that, and like hung out with all the straight edge kids who like didn't party, but they all knew how to fight because it's Arizona, and like that's all you do.
Yeah.
And this kid got destroyed, but I got into school the next day, and I got taken away to the dunes and got expelled like 2 days later.
Jesus.
But everyone knew the story, and it was like, dude, I literally stood up for myself and my friends, and this dude literally brought like a gang of kids to a house party to like beat up other kids just because he wasn't, you know, I don't know. It's just fucking insane. The whole system back then was crazy too. Not many people understand the Catholic school experience. Like,
no, they do not.
It's so backwards, and it's so it's so tormented.
It's all about the money, man. It's all about the money.
Yeah, we saw our principal. We started causing problems because we used to call them all on their theology, all like the irony and the hypocrisy in their theology. You know, making kids fear God instead of like, and give them credit for like who they are as individuals, but like because of their relationship with God, make them feel terrible. And the principal went from like a Hyundai to a Mercedes in 6 months. And we're like, who's paying for that? And it was all the parents. And
of course.
They got caught like 4 years after I graduated. I didn't graduate. 4 years after I graduated public school where I went after, it was in the paper later that the same guy that was my principal got caught for embezzlement and money laundering. and it was the most vindicated I've ever been with my parents in my whole life.
Oh my God, that's so fucked up.
We were just like, we weren't bad kids. We were just like, we were just weirdos, you know? And you needed to be like straight A, go to mass every day, play all the sports, and then you were like close enough to Jesus where you were a good person. We're like, but everyone that has a relationship with Jesus is a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
That's how I feel. But yeah, I mean, and I don't remember what we're talking about. Oh, okay, I remember what we're talking about now. So after I left public school, I was always, again, I was the outcast. And went to public school, you know, because I was a Metallica guy, even while I was in, you know, going to, you know, that Catholic school, even though I was the devil. You know, I was always into that, you know, I was into Pantera and all this other stuff. And
Always.
And then when I got to middle school and, you know, public school, I picked up my first guitar, and I was just hooked. And I put the album Pearl Jam 10 in there, and because of Jeremy and you know, even flow and stuff like that, I learned how to play the guitar. And so, you know, learning on your own and, you know, having that basic understanding there's nothing wrong with you know, figuring stuff out on your own, because that's how I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do lessons. I tried for 4 months, and the teacher talked to my mom one day and was just like, hey, he's actually teaching himself how to play songs before he gets here, and he's just trying to jam, and there's no reason for you to pay me for this. And I just quit lessons. It was like, you know, $20 an hour, and didn't have, you know, any need to, like, I don't know, just like try to learn from someone else, because I was still trying to figure out like what it is I wanted to learn. And then I just kind of just listened to stuff and just jammed on it alone until I met kids that were, you know, nice enough to invite me into a band, and then we became a band. And then that kind of just like then I played my first show, and it was just like on, you know.
Yeah.
Like that feeling alone was just like on. And my mom and dad used to pin me out when I was a kid in Canada because I could sing when it was really early before I could like form full sentences. So they would just make me sing like Tom Petty and shit like that when I was like a little kid.
Oh, nice.
So, for some reason, I was just like I was like, you know, quiet and introverted, but like performance wise, I was like always ready to go, which is weird because I don't feel that way all the time. But when I do a show or I do share music in a way, I feel totally different.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather chill and make stuff and like not get, you know, the spotlight. I'd like to just chill. But when I'm on stage or when I'm doing it, it's like the best thing in the world.
Oh my God. You can't say it any better than that. I mean, being up on stage, and you even said it before, knowing how to control that crowd and that crowd control, you know, function that not everybody has, is unreal. You know, I've been up on stage as a musician, as a professional wrestler, as a mixed martial arts fighter, and now as a comedian and doing this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, you know, it's crazy to get that reaction that you want out of them, regardless of whether or not you want them to boo you, you want them to have a little bit of shock, or you want them to just cry or scream or whatever the case might be. When you can fine tune yourself to know what your audience wants and when they want it and give it to them, you've got something.
Yeah.
And that's a lost art these days, especially on the kids that you were talking about who just want to go and, you know, make music and stuff like that, that don't have that idea of how to have that kind of crowd control.
Right. But with that said, I think it's important that every kid express themselves in whatever way that they want to, you know. I think there are more healthy ways to do it, and I love this program theme of yours because of mental health is such a big part of that, because the music sharing aspect of it is the most beautiful part, and the collaborative effort is that. And I think where electronic music and certain more like not narcissism isn't the word, but more soloed and like what's the word? I don't know, just more like just like art forms that are just meant to be shared alone on stage, like a DJ that's in one brand of music. They don't ever they like, especially if you're just making music on a computer only, just with the program, you don't have anyone to kind of share that with. You're good and you're bad. You don't have anyone to check you. You don't have everyone to get excited with you. You don't have everyone to like cry with. You don't have anyone to tell you that that's fucking terrible, like you should forever, or that's amazing. And that really grows you into a better person too, because it's like school, you know, it's like growth. It's like, you know, good parenting, that if you have like, you know, a worse upbringing than certain people, you need something to bring you back to center and to feel good. And music is such a beautiful escape. No matter how you're making it, fucking do it. But I just wish kids, especially in like the phone generation, would do more of the collaborative element and just pick up an instrument and jam, because, you know, you can't even get kids' attention for longer than 15 seconds. Like, there's a reason why videos are 15 seconds.
Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, it's, yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head, especially with the mental health aspect of things. You know, one of the things that I love about music nowadays is that the things that I talk about here, you know, not so much daily, because I don't want to talk about it daily because it can be a real downer. But, you know, with mental health, you know, when you're singing a song about that kind of stuff, that really is touching people and is really personal to you and stuff like that. If you don't have anybody else to riff it off of, it can be hard to, you know, capture what you're really trying to feel. Absolutely. You know, and, you know, there's so many good songs now out there about that kind of stuff, and anti-suicide songs and mental health songs. Especially on the rock side where I live. You know, Falling in Reverse came out with Popular Monster last year, which is a fantastic song about mental health. 2 years ago, the song that helped me prevent me committing suicide was a song by Bad Flower called Ghost. And then Nothing More put out a song a few years back about his sister and, you know, almost committing suicide and drug abuse and stuff like that. And it's powerful. And when you're in a studio full of other people and you get to scream your ass off because you don't care about being in key, you don't care about anything else other than conveying that emotion, to see what the reactions of other people's faces are in that room lets you know you're doing something right. Yeah,
for sure. And it's bigger than you too, you know?
Exactly.
You're expressing something that you can't voice and you can't write. So you just make it. And then you're like, oh, this is cathartic and this feels good. I mean, I would be lying if I told you this was an easy fucking year. And, you know, if I didn't have this shit, I don't know where I'd be emotional. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I feel you.
But that's everyone's situation. And I just hope everyone finds their thing, whether it's music or writing or art in any capacity, or just whatever the fuck, journaling, hiking, just do something.
Find something
that is yours and make it yours, you know, forever.
Yeah, I mean, even if you know, and we know we haven't we haven't said anything negative about it, but, you know, even if you are that kid that doesn't know anything about music theory and knows how to, you know, play with Pro Tools and is really good with a computer, you know, and everyone tells you suck at your music.
Yeah.
But does it make you happy? Does it keep you off, you know, out of trouble? Does it help, you know, does it help, you know, is it cathartic for you? Fucking do it. Who gives a shit what everybody else thinks? Fucking do it. You know, and that's the biggest thing about music.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, yeah, even, dude, it doesn't extend just to kids. I mean, I feel the same shit now. I'm 32 years old, and, you know, a lot of my friends are married, you know, flipping businesses, you know, getting homes, and I'm still doing this. You know what I mean? And I'm happy. And I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And I took the long road on purpose because I wanted to put my friends on and have fun along the way and not just get shot to some place where I wouldn't be able to control my fall. And, you know, as long as everyone's happy, do that. But I can't live that, that structured life and be, you know, fulfilled as a human.
Yeah.
There's just not enough there for me. And I realized that, and I really stood behind it this last 8 months. So I was really second guessing myself, you know, just the pure reason that, you know, a lot of friends, especially growing older, they're not on social media as much, and they're not, you know, in the digital world, and not like really like with like the times, in the sense of like how fast things are transmitted, all the information is being shared, especially from like even just through like the political spectrum and conversation and racial justice. Like so many people just don't know what the fuck's going on at all times, from where they live, who they hang with, what their peers are like, what their relationships are like. And, you know, you feel kind of crazy because you're like, everyone's like an adult, but I'm still like on social media sharing my music and like pushing my shit and like trying to create awareness for things I care about, and from the environment to racial equality and all these things. But I'm like on my phone a lot, and then I just like kind of second guess. I'm like, damn, should I have like taken things more seriously 5 years ago? Or, you know, went back to school when I dropped out of college and went like and got my anthropology or archaeology or business degree, or, you know what I mean? Like, did I make the right call? Like, am I where I want to be? And that caused a lot of fucking grief for like a while. And then like, your close friends don't engage with you as much. Not like because they don't care, they don't love and support, but because they're just doing their shit and everyone's growing and separating. And, you know, you can't let that shit knock you off your path, because if it makes you feel better than anything else, regardless of their advocacy of it or their support of it or engagement, you just gotta do you. You gotta do it till you fucking die.
Exactly. I mean, at 39 years old, because that's how old I am now, you know, I've quit the corporate world to pursue being a podcast host and a stand-up comedian. You know, that's most people would say you're fucking insane. But I have a woman upstairs that tells me I'm not. So I tend to listen to that lady up there.
Bless her heart, man. It's a beautiful story, and I've been hearing it more and more. Yeah. And I'm really, really fucking grateful for that, because that's like, you were in a machine. I was in a machine for a while too. I took the job route and I just couldn't do it. And I just kept fucking going with other shit. Ate shit for a long time until it really started to make sense. But power to you, man. It's not an easy decision to make. It is pretty much advised against from everyone that you care about. Yeah. And that cares about you in a sense. But if they really did, they know that that's the right thing that you need to do for you.
Yeah. Know? I mean, the moment I left that job, man, let me just tell you, it was a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And, you know, and now there's a new weight on my shoulders, you know, making sure that my sponsorships come through, making sure that I promote them properly, make sure I do this, make sure I do that. Oh shit, do I have everybody booked for the week? Oh, do I have all the artwork for the overlays on my freaking stream? Do I have that done? Do I have it's a whole other weight, but you know what?
Yeah. But
I control every bit of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's yours, dude. And that's sick. That's exactly why, you know, I was like happily saying I'm exhausted, because like I'm stoked. Like I feel fucking awesome today. Like I barely slept. I feel kind of like shit. But I took a walk with my dog and got a smoothie, and everything that happened today was my design, you know, from the video, from, you know, the collaboration with my roommate who crushed the video, to my artist who crushed the performance and the display of himself in the video, to my friend Jenna, who is my PR, who got me this gig, to all my friends who reposted and shared it in like the hundreds today. And all of that is from like one little dose of inspiration that everyone got from each other collaborating. And like that shit is so worth it. You know what I mean? It's not competitive. It's not some boss telling me to get some shit done in time or else. It's not a label that is corporate or like massive that is telling me what to do because they want to recoup their advance. Yeah. And that's why I signed my deal with the Muse, because I own my masters. I have pretty much all control of my creative process, and that's pretty much it. It's up to me, you know? They're like, okay, we'll invest in you, but it's up to you. You'll gain as much as you put in. I'm like, okay, fuck yeah, I've been waiting for this for 10 years. I'm going to put everything into this.
Yeah. You know? And you know what? I mean, it's obviously done good for you, because I don't know if you saw this, but it's been out for 7 hours now, going on 8 hours.
Did we call 2,000?
And you're at 2,110.
Damn. Thank you for telling me that. That's crazy. I honestly thought we were going to get like 300.
Yeah.
That's
No.
Dude, but like, shouts to Ryan Celsius. I'll have to send this to him later. But my guy who heads his YouTube channel called Ryan Celsius Sounds and the A&R and Muse that gave me the shot. He's just this like wizard that lives actually in DC. He'd be a fucking awesome dude to talk to, but he just is like a VHS lo-fi, like vaporwave, like old vintage, like, you know, Mortal Kombat, Sega video, Dreamcast shit video like guy, VFX guy. But he also has a massive following of lo-fi hip hop and like jazz beat and like instrumental, like, you know, like the chill beats to study and relax to anime.
Yeah.
Like that really famous, that's just like you put it on a loop 24 hours, it's just like really sleepy beats. He's like the American like wizard of that shit. And even though my world is slightly different, I make a ton of lo-fi and dreamy beats, but that's not the stuff I'm marketing right now because I've been doing that forever. He was still like, he understood why it made sense to sign me on because it wasn't just me he was getting, it was access to all of my really talented friends from creators, designers, and musicians, and just like singers and whatever. So it's really special that labels like them and people like him use their creative platforms to give artists a chance to express their vision, but also direct them and give them the resource to continue it with integrity rather than waving like a big advance in front of their face where they fucking take it all, cash it, and then their life's over in like 2 years. Yeah. And then they owe all that money back to the label who doesn't give two shits about them.
Nope.
Like my dude is my A&R is such a homie. This room that you're seeing, this whole section right here collapsed on itself during torrential downpour and destroyed everything in my studio 2 months ago.
Fuck.
And he had such belief in me, and we were like halfway through the negotiation stage of the deal, that he was like, is there anything I can do? And I was like, absolutely not. You've done enough. He goes, well, I'm going to send you $1,000 to put some shit back together. And I was like, I'm sorry, like what? Like you don't hear that in the music industry on like that corporate to client level. You know what I mean? You don't hear about that. In that moment, I was like, dude, this is a real ally I have in this shit. And like, he's going to let me do me. And I hopefully will do my due diligence to make him and his channel better than it was a little bit if I can, or more diverse, if you will. And here we are with the first release after like, I think we signed it 2 weeks ago. And I just wanted to put it out as soon as possible so people knew that we weren't fucking around. You know?
Let's put it out. Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
Let's fucking do it. I'm excited to fucking hear it. I have not heard it yet. Because, you know, I don't like to listen to music of a band or a guy or artist that I've never heard of before I get there on the show, because you know what? I want you to hear the genuine reaction of it when I hear it too.
Cool. But you have to play it with the video though.
Oh, I got the video queued up. I'm ready to go.
Get it, dude.
Let's do it. Here we go.
You got audio? There you go. There you go. And so real quick, everything about this video was done in-house. So Nas Leber, my buddy Josh, uptown kid, born and raised in the Bronx. We made this song in 1.5 hours after our first meet. We are friends through friends for 2-3 years. We finally linked up like right before the pandemic and made this song in an hour. I had the beat ready. I had an idea to like blend like this music video from 21 Savage, which was I think it was Ex-Girlfriend by 21 Savage. Just a super raunchy, fucking cream of the crop, like terrible but awesome trap song. And then Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. And I took elements of both of them and I learned how to edit and crossfade visuals. So I put this beat into my own like romantic story about just relationships and like what people are perceived to want from like greed and sex and money and shit that we're sold, but people really want just connection. And COVID really drew that fucking like, you know, drove that home. Mm-hmm. Just really wanting like their person or just their experience to be shared. And then Nas came over, Josh, and we wrote this in an hour. My friend and my roommate, Sasha, who was in Hawaii, where he's from, because he was in school here, he flew back right for the pandemic and came right back. The day he landed, we went to the Bronx at my friend's house, whose family home is like 200 years old or like 150 years old, filmed it in one day, and in the last 2 weeks got the mastering, the mixing, which I did as well, except for the mastering by Bob Mack. Shout out to him in London. And then the coloring, all the scenes, all the shit, all the promo, Jenna on PR, 2 weeks time, colored it last night until 5 a.m. And this is the final result.
All right.
And Josh did all the art. So the graphic at the beginning, he's an insane designer, and he did all the art too. So we didn't need anybody at all. And it felt so good because it was just homies, teamwork. And then Ryan put it on his channel, and bless his heart, because that's why it's doing so well.
That's badass.
So
Well, here it is. 90 degrees.
Nas love it. Degrees, I never throw shade, the city get hot. Fuck with the tribe, then shit'll get live, we turn up the spot. I'm finna get paid, I'm finna get laid, I get what I want. I gotta be grateful, what can I say, I love what I got. Twisted till the morning, went too crazy with them shots. Lifted, got my brothers, got some sisters in my squad. Moving on the greater things, I know I miss my block. Focus on the things I have, ignore what I do not. What I do not. You see me winning, I know it got you in your feelings. Don't know why you love to hate, don't know what the appeal is. Proud I got raised by the streets, I got raised by the realest. All the scholars and some killers. Hustlers headed to the millions. Big spending, big headed motherfuckers, big money, uptown shit. Wave building, stay killing, big drippy water whipping, don't you drown in it. Locomotives tinted, big booty women, rims spinning right around in it. Just to represent my town in it. State boogie, boogie down with it. I cannot waste time, got shit to do, just leave me a message. Shorty support me, showing me love, she know not to stress me. I gotta move and rep that illusion, so many blessings. I learned from my lessons. Not the one of me tested. Yeah. Not the one of me tested. 90 degrees, I never throw shade, the city get hot. Fuck with the tribe, then shit'll get live, we turn up the spot. I'm finna get paid, I'm finna get laid, I get what I want. I gotta be grateful, what can I say, I love what I got. Twisted till the morning, went too crazy with them shots. Lifted, got my brothers, got some sisters in my squad. Moving on to greater things, I know I miss my block. Focus on the things I have, ignore what I do not. No, 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 ignore what I do not. No, 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 no.
Fuck, that was badass.
Dude,
Woo!
thank you, man.
Man, those fucking... Man, that drum beat that you had kicking in the background, man, I could feel that rim shot every fucking time.
Dude,
Oh my god.
That rim shot is my favorite part of that song.
Dude, it stuck out so good.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Dude, thank you.
So, I've said this 1,005 times on this show and a couple times tonight. I'm a metal guy. I'm a rock guy. I always have been. I always will be.
Yep.
However, when I come in contact with an artist that is, not in my genre, that is fucking talented, and I can feel the fucking music just flowing from my fingertips down to my fucking toes. It impresses the shit out of me, and you've done that, bro.
Wow.
That song was killer. I mean, fucking badass. Hats off, bro. No shit, dude.
I can't. Damn, thanks, bro. Like, I'm kind of blushing over here. It's really rewarding to hear that, man. Damn, like I don't really have words, but thank you, dude. I'm gonna have to express that to the team. It's gonna be a really great lead up to our little celebration because, like, there's a lot of subliminal shit. Like, a lot of people will watch that and not catch half of the shit in there. But if you keep watching it and you listen to what he's saying, it's like a coming of age story, and being like proud of who you are, even though you either made a fucking shit ton of mistakes or had a shitty existence before you got there, and just like be proud of like everyone around you, regardless of what you've been through, and be grateful for it. And I think it's just such an important message right now, because we tend to stop looking, inward, and we just start looking for like so much validation. And if you actually just look at what's inside and the people around you that you're like you can count on your hand, it's like really special. And I think right now it's just really important for music to shine more light on that shit. It's not about like no one's fucking partying, like no one's celebrating anything right now. So like, we were nervous to put out this one first because we knew it was going to be like a little like more dramatic and like emo, if you will, compared to like what a lot of the people in our networks are sharing. But for some reason, we both just thought like that it was going to hit certain people in a way, and the way that you just describe it is exactly what we designed and hoped for. So the fact that you reacted like that is like extremely, extremely humbling and rewarding, my friend.
Yeah,
Appreciate
dude, it's fucking killer. That's a fucking badass track. And yeah, I can't get that fucking rim shot out of my fucking ear, man. It was so fucking perfect. Yeah, you nailed every piece of that fucking song, dude. The video was fucking stellar. The sound itself was just badass. It just great, dude. Just fantastic, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I hope the world gets to see a little bit more of this kind of shit from us. I think we're just gonna keep pumping it out, man.
So what's next?
I want to keep it consistent, dude. I mean, I got to get back to work in some capacities on like all my client stuff. But I feel like if we maintain consistency and keep on putting like quality work like this video, which has a lot of moving parts, I really think certain people will notice. And when certain people with access to bigger opportunities take notice, and they kind of just like peer into like how we do things and realize that it's like pretty self-sufficient and super professional and kind of just like well run, and everyone's just like a good-hearted person and not out for any sort of monetary gain or any sort of clout, I feel like that's going to be accepted quicker than it used to be, because everyone's getting a little bit more real, and it's really hard to sell realness before this shit happened. You know what I mean? It's like, it was uncool to be an environmentalist. It was uncool to care about the fucking planet. And like, look where we're at now. And like, that happens with, real storytelling and real experience sharing in music. And, you got media people that are asking for payment to post about your shit. And it's like, fuck that. Like, if you actually have a message and you have a solid squad that actually cares about sharing a story that people can relate to, that's the original form of expressing music and storytelling. And, sharing stories in a sense is just all about relating to people and their experiences. And if all of your art can do that, and all facets of it, like video, socials, the way you speak, the way you present yourself, and the way your stuff sounds, I feel like we could keep it going. I just hope that we can, and I hope that people keep listening to it. I can't hear you.
Shit, my bad. That was me. God damn it. I've done that twice now. Apparently I'm tired. I can't express it enough, dude. I mean, if 2,000, views in 7 hours is any indication, it's gonna blow up, bro.
Thanks, man. I hope it does. I really fucking hope it does.
Well, one thing I think that you were smart about, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it only being a 2-minute and 45-second song, you know, like we talked about earlier, the fact that, you know, the attention spans of, you know, people these days is, you know, give me 1 minute and I'm done. You know, you kept it short, sweet, to the point. You made it powerful. You know, it's awesome, bro. It really is.
Thank you, man. I mean, like, I feel like it wouldn't. I trust my beat enough to keep people interacted with it because of Nas, how he delivers his message. And he kind of like, a friend was explaining this to me last night. And there's like elements of it that seem like they'll keep going in the same way, but Nas flips it on you a little bit and stops rapping and like goes into a hook, and then we'll go into like more singing and R&B voice. But then like the second drop is like straight rap, but it's like more performative.
Yeah.
And the beat, I think alone, it bangs for sure, but it wouldn't be anything without that performance from Nas. And then the visual from Sasha and his editing and like the things he took from the Bronx, and like a lot of those shots were from literally my street, like where I live. I live in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn for the last 7 years. Like, it's my community. I know everyone on the street. This is like a place that will never get gentrified. The projects are right there. Like, shit happens every day. But I know everyone, and like we wanted to capture like that feeling of just being in this city and just having to do something for yourself. And the way that he used our B-roll, just like driving in my car, randomly filling in shots to like split up the footage of Nas, because you don't want to have too much on the vocalist. You want to create a montage and like a theme and like a short film. And Sasha really just like destroyed it on every element of that. And the dude did it in like a week's time, like less than.
Yeah, that's badass.
So if we just have a little bit more time to do that shit, I would like to get stuff out like every 3 to 4 weeks, like for sure, because
it's the way to do it.
You know, I feel like with that enough lead in, I mean, you get it. You're booking shows like 3 days a week. If you have enough time to book them 2 weeks out, like you have enough time to promo, you have enough to get through the cycle of the last one, and you can restructure your next, you know, move and based off all the reactions and like different, because I want to hit different genres. I want to go back to like my roots. Like me and my roommate make incredible producer too, the filmer. He's an incredible blues guitarist, and I want to make like soul. I want to make like all sorts of shit with the female vocalists that live 3 blocks down in fucking Crown Heights, and just like put everyone on until, you know, we're on, in a sense.
That's awesome. If you ever need a metal guitarist, let me know.
I'm gonna holler at you, dude.
But dude, I can't say it enough, dude. That was just badass. I mean,
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole other respect, you know, because of the show and the people I've talked to. I've given I've opened my mind, and I've seen things that, you know, normally I wouldn't because of, you know, the show. And, you know, for a long time I was musically racist, I guess you could say, or,
Yeah.
you know, even though that's a bad term, you know what I mean? I would only listen to rock. I mean, and,
Yeah.
you know, rock and metal. And the thing about it was, I guess part of it was, you know, I grew up in the 90s, when, you know, rap had a certain stigma about it. You know, whether it was the East Coast, West Coast stuff, whether
Yeah.
it was, you know,
Always. Yeah. Of
you
course.
know, or whether it was Ice-T coming out with Cop Killer and stuff like that, I was like, I don't want to touch that genre. And then I was, you know, but then and every time I went to you know, a rock festival or, you know, a metal show, you know, I saw people of all colors, all ages, all, you know, races and creeds and religions just coming together and jamming out and enjoying music. And I thought it was really kind of unifying. I was like, oh wow, metal does this, holy shit. You know, oh look, there's a black guitarist, a black lead singer, holy shit, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I was blind to everything else happening outside of the rock world. But over the last 9 months or 10 months, 8 months that I've been doing the show, I've kind of re-experienced what other genres can do for communities. And I'm glad that I was connected with you, bro, because again, that was just fucking dope.
Oh, that's a really honorable thing to recognize, especially in the position that you're in. Because now you have access to people's brains and their access to other things. And you know, after that platform, you have a duty to share as much as you can, you know?
Absolutely.
And I respect the hell out of that, bro. So thank you so much for giving me the platform to do that.
Absolutely, man. It was my pleasure. Especially, like I said, just listening to such a great fucking song. And Nas is, you know, he's a badass.
Yeah,
his flow is fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Sick. But
it's different, man. It's different. I really hope it just keeps catching, because this was my least favorite song out of the 3 we have.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then I can't wait to see the other shit.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Oh man. Now I'm even more excited.
Yeah,
But dude, I can't thank you enough, bro. And I love to have you back sometime.
Yeah,
definitely do a revisit here, because that shit is just badass.
I love to bring like homies involved. You could talk to multiple of us, you know?
Hell yeah, let's fucking do it.
We'll just like kick it down here, and we'll just have a little squad session.
So yeah, let's hook back up when you're releasing the next video.
Let's do it.
I don't care if we're doing it, a month apart. I don't give a shit. If you're gonna bring on more people and we're gonna be able to highlight some of your fucking badass music, let's fucking do it. So let's keep in touch. And we'll definitely, I'll promote the shit out of your next one too.
Appreciate that, man.
Hell, dude, you deserve it, bro. You and your whole crew fucking deserve it.
Thank you, man. I will relay this. They're literally about to walk in the door. This is like the coolest lead up ever, I think.
Well, cheers to you and you guys. I appreciate you.
Cheers, man. I'm gonna go get a beer myself, dude. I need to cure this sleep sickness. So you take care of yourself. You have another interview after this too?
Huh?
You have another one after this?
No, I'm done for the night. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:00.
Cool, brother. Well, we'll be in touch. All right. I'll follow you on all the shit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just send me a DM on Instagram and we'll talk.
All right, man.
All right, dude. I appreciate you. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, man. Enjoy it.
See ya.
Bye. All right, guys. That's Monday. Fuck, what a good night. A great fucking author, a great fucking musician. Can't start the week off any better than that. So come back tomorrow. I've got another doubleheader at 7:00 East, 4:00 West. A fashion designer, somebody who worked for fucking SpaceX and Tesla. Overall cool guy. Casey Wright will be on the show. And then at 8:00, I got another author and a overall just really cool guy coming on the show. I feel like a jackass. I had his name. Where does it go? I know his last name is Slaughter. Darius Slaughter. There it is. Darius Slaughter, author and activist. Darius Slaughter will be on the show. So 7:00, Casey Wright, SpaceX, fashion designer. 8:00, Darius Slaughter, author, activist. Another fun fucking night. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and as always, stay fucking heavy. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. Peace.